What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're on another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We got JP, Caleb, and Quentin. What's up, fellas?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
I'm okay.
I'm a little sad I missed the Sky is Falling episode, but sounds like you
Uh,
guys had it under control as normal. So shout out to you guys.
yeah, that was comical. We had a few people on. It was pretty fun. We Hey, what's up, Philip? Um, so there was a couple of injuries today. Everybody lost their friggin' minds over because somebody rode back on a cart after he walked to the sidelines. And we're talking about Justin Ross. It's not that bad. Let's just get this over with now. He walked to the sidelines and rode back on a cart, the front seat of a cart. It's hamstring tightness, nothing more. I made a call today, wanted to find out. I got the scoop. As far as Nico goes, they did, I guess, some x-rays and MRI on his wrist. So far, it wasn't anything major. So looks like it's going to be okay as well. What's up, Arrowhead News? News and rumors. So we can get that out of the way really quick. And then also Jody Fortson, which we kind of knew was coming. He's on season-ending IR and is probably going to get an injury buyout. So I would expect that to come somewhat soon, sooner than later. He may, who knows? They may keep him on IR the entire season and then do the buyout. I don't know. It really depends on how it works out for their finances, but that's where it sits right now with those three guys. Everybody else seems to be in pretty good shape. Nothing major to report about that part of it. Anybody got anything really quick before we move on?
I just have a list of guys that didn't practice today that I wanted to talk about. One
Okay.
specifically, but I'll go through the list. So we talked about Fortson. Obviously, Jones wasn't there. Nick Jones fractured his fingers in the game on
several
Sunday.
of them.
Yeah. L'Jarius Sneed, his knee swelling is still up. Kadarius Toney is still out, and Turkon Wharton is still out. Now, the one I want to talk about is L'Jarius Sneed. And my concern is that this becomes something that they have to deal with the entire year, and that this swelling doesn't go down and it just becomes something they manage. And I don't know if he necessarily misses games because of it, but I'm worried that it'll be something where maybe he's on a pitch count early in the season. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
When I look
What
at
I
the
was
whole,
go ahead.
the only thing I was going to say is I believe Charmani Connor is his replacement for the new future if and only if Snead does not come back. And he's art from the stuff I was able to watch in my spare time. He was able to do a pretty good job and was able to assimilate himself into the defense quite nicely. Now he's going to get into those woes of the ups and downs, but he's done a pretty good job. If it comes to the fact where we see Snead is not able to go, I expect Connor to be there, but also expect them to split snaps back and forth to where kind of take some of that workload off, because it is concerning how we're now in August and that knee injury has still been an issue for the entire camp.
So. Yeah, from what I understand, it's similar to what Juju Smith-Schuster went through. He's getting fluid buildup on his knee, and they ended up, they managed it for Juju by draining it and then compresses and things of that nature. But it's fluid buildup, and they're going to have to figure out a way of keeping that from happening. But that's kind of, if you talk to any NFL players, especially contact players, which Snead is, he gets hit a lot, lower leg hits. That is kind of normal for any NFL player. It's just sometimes the fluid builds up quicker in some than others, really depending on where it's coming from. What's up, Colin? Anyway, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I imagine he will be on like a pitch count for the first few weeks. But I don't think it's going to be anything huge, but I do believe you're right. I think Shamari Connor is going to be his replacement, and especially if he has a bad season, they're not going to pay him anywhere near what the market's pulling for corners.
Mhm.
As good as he
Yeah.
is, they're not going to do it. So,
If this knee problem goes out throughout the entire season, L'Jarius Sneed is 100% not coming back.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely not.
I think that plays a big role into whether or not. Now, I don't think Sneed's coming back either way. Personally speaking, I think Shamari Connor takes over that role, but especially if this problem, it's like if he's on a pitch count for a week, for the next couple weeks, is in the game, doesn't play a ton of snaps, maybe has 50% of the snap count, right? He's in there for about half the time, and then in week 7 he ends up missing a game due to some knee swelling or knee pain, and then comes back. Like if we're yo-yoing with his snap counts and his games, then I think that this is a problem. Because look, if Kansas City wants to be a top 10 defense, then there's going to need to be some things that need to happen. One, defensive backfield needs to be one of, if not the best in the AFC, which it's going to be hard to be because look at all of the top offenses you're playing. The Chiefs are facing like 6 out of the top 10 offenses from last year. So going into this season, you need your defensive backs to be ready. And if L'Jarius Sneed isn't ready when the season goes, or like I said, isn't going to play the entire game, this defense, that's a huge blow to this defensive backfield.
It is, but here's the thing. I agree with Philip, and I think that's what they're going to end up doing anyway. Connor needs to be more in the slot, and they need to put McDuffie back outside. McDuffie plays better outside. It is what it is, and that's probably what they're going to end up doing anyway. But Sneed, from what I understand, Sneed and Willie Gay are probably not coming back no matter what next year. So unless Willie Gay has a monster year and comes in on a good deal, he's not going to be back next year. They've already got 2 replacements for him, to be honest, and that's just kind of how it is. That is not a high-paying position in the linebacker corps, so I don't know that Veach is so concerned about what he's going to bring, as far as value is concerned, or what his market's going to bring. But you really, after watching this weekend's games, the one thing that I noticed is linebackers were playing, not just our linebackers, but other linebackers, were playing a very integral role in the defensive line and keeping their secondary solid. So you really do need a good 2 linebackers. You need a linebacking core that's solid. So we'll have to see what happens with him. But I think Sneed, most likely this will be his last year regardless. I mean, he can have a monster year. He could have an off year. I don't think it really matters. I think it's his last year with us. Chris Jones was cited with Paul Rudd eating at Jasper's restaurant. They were both having, the Italian steak sandwich. So, and then somebody said they saw him down on 12th and Brooklyn eating barbecue. Not sure if that one's true or not, but I do know that they were at Jasper's. Just kidding. He will be back. What I was told was he was supposed to be back by Tuesday, but it looks like he's waiting until the end of the week because he doesn't want to have any part of training camp. Let's get into this really quick because
that's not a team player.
It may not be a team player, but
I'm just saying that's not a team player or a leader right there.
No, it's not.
Do that stance.
It sucks, and it is what it is. I will say this.
I mean, Mahomes and Kelsey show up to everything.
Yeah, they do.
I'm just saying leaders need to lead by example. That's all I'm saying. I just firmly believe that. Look at this as a whole. Those guys go out there and compete, and it seems with Chris Jones is when he wants to, or when it benefits him, not the team. And this is last time I checked, this is a team, not an I. There's no I in team, and I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do. Maybe they'll trade him in the day. Maybe they'll keep him. But from all this stuff that's going around, I want to kind of take this a different avenue. From what I'm seeing, the fans are kind of turned off with this whole situation of Chris Jones putting all these cryptic tweets. And for the fans, I mean, I can understand. It makes no sense. And yes, you said it many times, JP, and you have been the first to say this before, so I'll give you the credit. He likes to toilet people. But I feel like enough's enough at the end of the day. You're either going to come and help the team or you just sit there and tweet. Tweeting's not going to help you get another Super Bowl. And do I love Chris Jones? Yes, I think he's one of the greatest defensive players in the league. I don't think he's Aaron John money. You already proven that he does not want $30 million a year. But it also comes to a point, too, is that this team has a chance to be one of the best defenses it ever could be. So if it's going to reach that potential to that point, why is he not there helping them get to that point? I mean, I know Danny Shelton's doing good. We have other guys, but Chris Jones is the quote-unquote leader. Tyrann Mathieu's not here anymore. He's not the leader. It's Chris Jones is the leader now. So I feel like at this point, it just kind of shows bad teammateship from my personal belief. Now, you guys may have a different opinion, but the fans are just kind of getting annoyed with this whole situation because they're like, look, you're out here liking tweets saying you want to go to the Raiders and all the different things, and then liking tweets basically about people who have been trashing you, and I don't think that's right. You shouldn't trash a player because if you look at Chris Jones's humble beginnings, I mean, this man came from Mississippi sleeping on a couch, and he made it all the way to where he's at now. It just frustrates me to see this happen when this team could be one of the best we could have ever seen from a defensive perspective. Talking about those early 2000 defenses.
Well, the whole thing is, we've said this before. When you're 29, you're on your last long-term contract. The last thing you want to do is end up like 30 other players right now that are sitting on the sidelines or not playing this year because you went through training camp. I get that part of it, especially when you're in a contract.
Well, yeah, but injuries are part of the game. I
but when it'd be different if it wasn't a contract year. But it's a contract year that he's in the middle of a negotiation, and I get it. It is about guarantees. Philip's right.
But the issue we're seeing, JP, is every time it comes to a contract-esque era, we're dealing with the same thing of cryptic tweets and not showing up to OTAs and all those other things. Last time I checked, Mahomes and Kelsey didn't do that. And
Mahomes has been on the same contract, though. I mean, and Kelsey. Well, yeah, but Kelsey's different.
Mahomes, after that Super Bowl, could have been like, well, I'm not going out until I get a contract, but he didn't do that. I don't know. I just feel at this point it is frustrating to see, and I want this team to do the best they can do. But also, for the end of the day, it has to be some give and take, not only from his side, but from the Chiefs as well. And for what we're seeing, it's just kind of loop. It's a loop around, and it's a business. It's a business, but I also feel like at the end of the day, too, it's like both sides need to sacrifice some, but they're both entrenched in their beliefs and philosophy, so that's fine. And that's unfortunately where we're at. And it looks like the fans have turned against them, which I don't think is right. But I feel like that's unfortunately one of the byproducts we see on a holdout when we don't hear all this stuff. We're not the fly on the wall in the room in these meetings.
I will say this. It's about guaranteed money. It's not about he wants more. There's some guy that's, I don't know, he's an NFL draft analyst that says some inside source told him, and I read his little article, that Joey Bosa and Chris Jones were holding out for more than Aaron Donald money. Joey Bosa's and it was kind of comical because he said Joey Bosa's holdout's going to last probably into the season, but he never mentioned that about Chris Jones.
Yeah, and I think his holdout could end very quickly. I agree with you there. Like you say, he's probably going to be here this week, which wouldn't surprise me. It's just, why waste the time?
Well, you got to look at it the way, I guess maybe because I look at it from a different perspective. When you're a player that's on the fringe of a very high contract, it's not done yet, then you go into training camp and you get injured. Your stock drops. Then you also have to look at it from this perspective. And this is going to go for both ways. And this is another reason why Veach is kind of holding out a little bit as well.
Yeah.
If Veach is standing his ground, which from what I understand, he made him a very good offer, and he plays the season and gets injured, where's his stock going to be at the end of the season?
And I agree with you there. I think you're right there. But what I also feel like too is that there's only so much that can go around. If you want to win another Super Bowl, you can't be taking that high 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, $32 million per year. There has to be some leeway from his camp, I feel like, as well, too. So.
Well, and there's been movement on both sides. people can say that nobody's talked and this and that and the other. That's not true. They have talked. There's been a lot of movement in between the two sides. There's a matter of guaranteed money that is, I think, the biggest holdup of all of this. I understand why he'd want it, given the fact that this is the last long-term deal he's going to get. But they both need each other. My point behind this is they both need each other. The Chiefs need him, not from just a player standpoint, but from a monetary standpoint. He needs the Chiefs because if he goes out and gets injured without a contract, his stock drops to shit.
And
then
I
where's he going to be next year?
I don't know. I just feel like this should have gotten taken care of 2 months ago.
Why would have gotten taken care of? I could tell you why. They had a deal set in place, verbally agreed upon, until they found out that Quinnen Williams was up for an extension, was going to get it this year. Both sides held off on that deal because if you look at it, anybody that's on this show right now can pull it up. Go look at the gap between number 1 and number 2 as far as the pay scale is concerned. There's an $8 million difference between Aaron Donald and Quinnen Williams, which is number 2. So where does Chris Jones fall in between there? If you're an organization and you're worried about contract money and cap money, you damn well better wait and see where that other person's going to fall, because we watched this happen with Orlando Brown Jr. We watched this happen now with Chris Jones and other players in the league, where the gap is so big between number 1, which is severely overpaid, to number 2, which is, I think, maybe a couple million overpaid. Because I think, really, in my opinion, Chris Jones is between $26 and $27 million a year guy. I think Quinnen Williams is probably a $24 million guy. So Aaron Donald's
go ahead.
Go ahead, because they're up there very plain. There's a huge
Aaron
gap.
Donald is 31.6, so let's just say 32 to keep the numbers easy. Quinnen Williams is at 24, and he's the second highest paid. Then we've got Jeffrey Simmons, 23.5, Daron Payne, 22.5, Dexter Lawrence at 5, 21.8. Chris Jones is number 8 overall. So, he could, and the Quinnen Williams, I think Quinnen Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Daron Payne, and Dexter Lawrence all got new contracts this offseason.
Every single one of them got a new deal, and every one of them are happy with their money. But you got 2 players in the NFL right now that are really fighting for that number 2 spot. One of them is an injury-prone player in Joey Bosa, and then you got Chris Jones. So they have to – I know Joey Bosa is not really relevant to this conversation, but to a degree he is, because he's fighting for yearly contract money. Yes, Chris Jones wants, a yearly contract that sounds decent, but again, he wants more guaranteed money. I would too. If I was in a position that he has to play, I would want medical guarantees, injury guarantees, I should say, and I would want, a guarantee that of my value. And I don't give a shit if the contract, if it was me, I wouldn't care if the contract said $26 million a year or 26.1. Which is, $100,000 more than Quinnen Williams is making, as long as my guarantee is high enough to where I know I don't have to worry about nothing if I get injured. And that's where the stopping point is. I heard there was between a $5 and a $10 million gap between the two. Heard it was down to 5 as far as the guaranteed money is concerned.
For Bosa?
No, for Chris Jones. So it's just going to have to come down to a position that they're both happy. They both need each other again. It's not. It'd be stupid for anybody to think they don't, because they do. Chris Jones knows he needs this team just as much as we need him. And it's not just from a player standpoint.
Now, here's my hypothetical to you guys. Let's say the Chiefs go, they do their thing this season, they either make it to the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. Either win or lose. Let's say we get to that point, we're getting to March. Do you think it's possible they trade Chris Jones off just due to these contract issues?
If there's no contract in place, yes.
If there's no new contract, they can't.
They can if they do it prior to his contract ends in March. So they can actually trade him off prior to March 13th and be okay with that. They could
But
trade
the
him
other
anytime
team would have to
between
give an
February and March.
extension. That other team would have to give an extension, though.
Which I'm sure there's not a team out there that would say,
Mhm.
okay, wait a minute, I can give him $3 million this year and extend him out for three more years
Mm.
and pay him, what he wants. And see what people are not realizing is Chris Jones is still getting $29 million from the Chiefs this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, he's a $28 million cap hit.
Woo.
yeah,
Well,
and then there's $1 million of incentives in there. So let's be real about it. I mean, there's team if he gets through this season unscathed, has a great season, we don't sign him between now and March 13th, or let's just say March 5th. We absolutely can trade him. And somebody will pick him up on a 3-4 year deal. It's that simple. Will it happen? Probably not. I can tell you, I don't see Chris Jones playing in another uniform, dude. He has made it very clear he will never play in another uniform. I don't think he will. They will get this figured out. This is twice now. Understand this. It happened when we franchise tagged him. 4 years later, it's happening again. He's upped his game in the last 4 years compared to the first 4 years, and he's still got a really decent contract. I think, is Quentin Williams like $96 million, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so. Quentin, do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, I just
I think it's $96 million. So if it's I think it's 5 years, $96 million.
I think that sounds about right, or something around those lines.
It's 5 years, $105 million.
Okay.
105?
105.
Is that with incentives, or what's his?
That's
what's
the
his
total
80?
contract.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's everything. So that's right then. Okay, so Chris Jones comes in at 110 million, which puts him at 27.5 a year.
Contract that it was the extension that Quentin Williams got was a 4-year, $96 million. So it's $96 million of new money.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about.
Total contract is 105.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm talking
Okay.
about.
Okay.
So if Chris Jones was to extend today and he extended for 100 million, that's a $128 million contract.
Yeah.
Mm.
So no matter how you want to twist it, it's about guaranteed money. I think Quentin Williams guaranteed money $66 million. I could be wrong, but I think it's $66 million.
Yeah, it was 47 guaranteed at signing, and then next year he'll get another $20 million, so it's 66 total guarantees.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So if we're looking at a $70 million guarantee split up over 4 years or even 3 years, I would do that.
Mhm.
Because then what you can do as a GM, you can say, okay, I want to split your guarantee up over the next 4 years after that, and that has to be in the contract. But you're still getting your money. It's just got to be spread out a certain amount of time.
And then that's fair. And I think that they can eventually come to a deal. It just seems that it's taking longer than normal. And we know there's a lot of unforeseen things in contracts. We see that guys get paid at different times, so it throws everything off. I hope it gets done. I think it does, but I'm just preparing for the worst because I just feel like whenever you hear some smoke or see some smoke, that means there's some fire. I don't know. The trolling, I personally don't like. That's just me. I don't like the trolling. Everyone has a different opinion on it. I don't know. I just feel like he should be there, but I do see his point. But I do feel like the Chiefs should have possibly not dropped their belief, but
Just
nice
jam it
song.
out.
I don't
No,
the Chiefs.
I hit the wrong button. I got a text that said now he was spotted at the Kona on the plaza. I don't know, man. People
Okay.
are seeing all kinds of crazy shit.
So just to end that, I hope it gets done. So we can move on next thing.
yeah,
I hope it gets done.
He's playing this year. Let's
see what happens.
Let's just drop the fucking hammer. No matter what, he's playing this season with Kansas City. They're not trading him. So get that out of everybody's head. Don't worry about anything. He's playing this season. It's on him whether he plays well or if he gets injured. This is just really, honestly, if the Chiefs let him play 17 games into this season or beyond 17 games and his production drops or he does get injured, that's just a huge, huge advantage for the team. It's all that is. So,
Huh?
and also, anybody that's worried about the cap, take Chris Jones's money out of our restructurable money over this season. We're still the highest. We have the most extension money or restructure money of any team in football. So if we have to pay him at the end of the season and he moves forward, we can restructure a lot of contracts to be able to pay him and still have money left over. Especially with the salary cap and the 16% bump that comes with the salary cap next year. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's not worry about it anymore. He has his own plane. He can fly in whenever he wants. So, again, today it was put out. It was a big thing. Chris could show up tomorrow. He absolutely could. He could show up tomorrow. He could show up the next day. He could show up, at 3:45 on Saturday. He could show up 24 hours prior to the first game of the season. Makes a damn bit of difference. Still going to show up.
Yeah.
So all the speculation and all the hoopla that goes along with the great Chris Jones just has to move on. And everybody needs to quit worrying about it. We're not paying his salary. Anyway, moving on to the preseason game, and everybody finally got some cooler heads. I did a little spaces with Mark Goodnells the other day. I believe it was yesterday. I can't remember now. There was a lot of mixed feelings about the players, about how they played. People assumed, apparently there's people out there that still think preseason's, Bible, and they think that that's going to dictate the entire season. There was a lot of positives that came out of that game, an ignorant amount of positives that came out of that game. I mean, more than people know. We evaluated a lot of talent. I think we had 2 new acquisitions, if I'm not mistaken, today.
I think they had a couple workouts.
I think 2 of them are coming in, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I have to take a look, but I believe there's 2 coming in. There's so much to take away from this game. One, Danny Shelton can move for a big guy, and he lost a little weight.
He can. I was kind of surprised when I saw that cycle. I'm like, that's Shelton. He's moving.
That's Danny moving side to side, getting in the backfield, doing what he needs to do. We know that Nico can play really good ball. We know that we got a really solid tight end back there that nobody's even thinking about right now. I think his name is Buchanan or Buckman or whatever the hell his name is.
Bushman.
Yeah, Bushman.
It's a Mark Bushman, I believe.
Sounds right. He had a good game. Everybody had a good game. Rice had a good game. With the exception, and I think, I wanted your guys' opinion on this, and I don't know how much of the game you saw, Caleb, because I know you were out of town, but everybody was so concerned with that first team offense for 2 series.
So I was able to catch clips here and there, and when I was able to kind of listen to it just for a few, it was 14-0, and I looked at Twitter just to kind of see what's going on, and it's like, did the world end?
Oh,
this
God.
is a preseason game. I know Quentin probably looked and rolled his eyes and was like, y'all don't know what you're talking about, as he stroked his beard. But seriously, though, it's preseason, guys. It's preseason.
It's evaluation
it's preseason. It's evaluation. I'm not watching for the final score. Now, if the first team came out there, Mahomes threw a bad interception, and let's say Clyde fumbled the ball, and let's say Kelsey ended up getting in a fight, yeah, maybe we can have some issues there and fuss and complain and things like that. But what we saw was growth. First team kind of did their thing. It didn't work out. They did their thing. I'm not worried. But when we got to see the second teamers, Justin Ross showed up on the scene. Nico Ramingo, that Quentin, kid you not, wrote an article about this guy months previously saying that she should get him. And I think you said the 7th round, Quentin. Is that correct?
Yeah, I said they should use a late round pick on him.
A late round pick. The Chiefs got him as an undrafted guy. That guy could possibly be another cornerstone to help this offense. Looking guys like Shelton, who's been stashed on a practice squad for the last season. Looking at these other individuals to see what they're doing. A guy number 12, Halasia, I think that's his name is, had a beautiful interception. What else happened? You had our quarterback I forgot his name.
Shane Buechele with that.
The juke. I mean, what was there not to like? Yeah, we lost on the last second field goal. It's preseason. It's evaluation of talent. It's evaluation.
Hey man, think about it like this, Caleb. How about this? Mm-hmm. How about we all become the Baltimore Ravens and we're preseason champions, and
that's
then we fall on our dick in the middle of the season?
Preseason means nothing because the Ravens have won now 24 straight preseason games. Okay, and the Chiefs go either split it or go only win one game. I'm looking for your evaluation of talent. How are the guys doing? Looking to see what Chamarri Connor's doing. Looking to see what Nick Jones did before he hurt his fingers. I believe when Nick Jones comes back, which we probably will this season, he is going to do some great things. Nika Maringo, Justin Ross, Watson, all these individuals are going to prove the worth, and we're seeing what they're doing now. If they're putting guys in blenders and things now, just wait until they do into an actual game.
Yeah.
Think how these injuries happened early. By the way, I want to answer Danny really quick. That is a Diet Coke and a bag of hot flaming Cheetos. All right. What was you going to say, Quentin?
I was just going to say the linebacker core. JP and I talked about this after the game on our live show after the game, and it's just like the linebacker core was really impressive. The communication between the second and third team was something that I was also really impressed about. You see guys were pointing, they were moving motions with the shifts. I know that, the offense nor the defense is running anything particularly difficult, but when you see your young guys, your rookies or guys that are new to the system coming out here and they're pointing and they're making sure guys are in the right spot, that's always good. And the linebacker core was taking charge of it. I mean, even from first team all the way down to the bottom of the roster, the linebacker core looked great. And I think that we're going to be looking back at this season, and the linebacking core is going to be one of the reasons why Kansas City's defense was so good, because the defensive line has gotten a lot of attention with Chris Jones, and the defensive backs have gotten a lot of attention for, what they were able to do last year, bringing in a bunch of new talent. Well, now this talent's been here another year, so let's see what happened. I think this linebacking core has sort of been under the radar, and we'll look back at it and realize just how important some of these new guys are.
And Absolutely. Just to add what you said, when we're seeing what these guys are doing in preseason, it just tells us like, wow, the Chiefs did their homework. Nick Jones, 7th rounder cornerback, did very well. Hurt his hand, but I think is going to come back. Similar to what we saw last year with Watson. 7th rounder, had a pick 6 in week 2. One of the biggest games that could have been a turning point of Chiefs season. You see they're continually having these guys come year after year after year. Another individual like Thompson did good. I mean, you can go down the list. Undrafted guys we haven't really heard of are coming out there and balling. I mean, I saw one tweet, I don't remember who tweeted this, but the Chiefs are loaded at every position. This is a good problem to have. Too much talent.
Phenomenal. The depth is phenomenal.
That's what you need. That's what you need. And it comes down to the point where if you have guys that are injured, and I'm doing air quotes for several reasons, because number one, you're going to have to stash some player. Prime example, Byron Pringle, first year with the Chiefs, had a hamstring injury. He was on IR. They saved him. He came back, learned the playbook, boom, boom, pow, had 2 great seasons, got paid 1-year contract with the Bears. I can see the Chiefs doing that with any number of these players, the way it looks like right now.
And okay, Danny, really quick, I want to address the elephant in the room really quick on this. Everybody getting cooked. Okay, first of all, how many times have we played the Saints, this particular Saints group? Caleb, Quentin? Never. We've never played this Saints coach. We've never played this Saints group.
It's always been Sean Payton.
Exactly. Number 2, they went out there with absolutely zero preparation for this game. I want you guys to understand this. They don't prepare for a preseason game like this. They want to see how guys will react on the fly. And that's what they did. The entire first team didn't come out with this intensity that they were going to come out and just blow the doors off of anybody. Did Patrick Mahomes get the first down with his legs? He absolutely got the first down with his legs. Did they get it to him? They absolutely did not, but it's preseason. It's that same old grouchy mother. The only group of left in the NFL referee crew that calls dog shit. But they did the same thing against the Saints. Now, nobody from the first team to guys that won't even see the facility next week, none of them prepared for this game. Andy didn't want him to prepare for it. One, you don't have film on people that have never played football, so it's pretty hard to adjust to a team that, one, you haven't played, and two, you have no film on.
It's pretty much a trial by fire. They just throw you in there, see what you can do.
It's all it is. So for everybody that's gotten upset and thought that, these guys were flat or whatever the case is, there are a lot of things that go into it. I'm not slamming anybody for it. I'm just saying I want you to look at it from all aspects. One, no preparation. Two, who was out there helping Justin Reid during that time frame when he was getting cooked? Who was he trying to help when he may have been getting cooked? They didn't know where the ball was going and when it was going to end, where it was going to end up. Look, man, 30 for 30 threw a hell of a pass. It is what it is. He threw a hell of a pass, and the ball was caught. I don't know if the sun got in his eyes in a dome. I don't know what happened, but he is a little shorter of a guy. He was playing inside, playing the slot, which is not his forte, really. So, or he was playing, I guess I can't say he was playing the slot. He was playing outside, more of a press style situation. He got burned a little bit. It is what it is. Nobody got a good look at who they were playing. The only person on either team that looked like they were having two people, I should say, that were having an absolute blast was Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr. Derek Carr look, man, I don't like him. Caleb, you know this. I've made memes about the man.
You do not like
He's
Derek
got
Carr.
tattooed eyeliner. Any man that goes out and gets tattooed eyeliner,
it's Derek Carr, man.
It's Derek Carr. That's just him. Whatever. Do what you got to do. He cries a lot. He's got that Dick Vermeil syndrome. Cry away. He hurt my finger. I got memes of him all over. Go back and look at our page. There's memes of him bawling about his finger hurting and, the Chiefs beating him 77 times in a row. Whatever. He looked completely rejuvenated.
Yeah, he's on a team that's stable. Stable and has a
good
coach.
Organization that he's happy.
And that's what he
with.
needed. I think if the Raiders were half competent, they would have probably taken a game or two more from the Chiefs, and it would be more of a neck-and-neck race, similar to what we saw in 2016, 2017 season, I believe, where it's number one, number two, both making the playoffs. But we don't see that because the Raiders have been a dysfunctional franchise. Now he's with the Saints, and he's doing stuff. He has a chance to do a lot of great things. So,
well, if you listen to any Raiders fan right now, they beat San Francisco in the preseason, so they are going to the Super Bowl.
It's a preseason game.
They're going to the Super Bowl.
It's a preseason game, JP.
Oh, no, but you got to go ask their fans. They are going to the Super Bowl.
There's only a few of them left, so.
They say they're going to be the next team. They're going to be the next team to host a Super Bowl. That's what they're going to be because they beat San Francisco in the preseason.
Well, I'll tell you this. If the Chiefs go down and win 3 games in the Raiders Stadium, 2 games in the Raiders Stadium this year, i.e. they, number one, win their division, the Raiders don't make it, they beat them at home and win in the Super Bowl, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So. Well, it's Raiders fans.
The only Super Bowl that the Raiders have ever been to is where I take a shit when I stay at the Bellagio.
Absolutely. It's
the Raiders.
The Raiders are going to Raider. I will say this about the Saints. I'm going to give them props in every way. They have an absolute legitimate chance of winning their division. They're a better football team than anybody's given them credit for, all the way around. And I think they got a good head coach. They got a good organization, and I think they're going to be tough in the NFC. They're going to be that sleeper team in the NFC that everybody's going to be wondering, where the fuck did they come from? That's exactly what people are going to say. But if you listen to the show, go back and listen to this again because it'll be bookmarked on Twitter or on YouTube. Because I'm telling you now, they're going to be a team in the NFC that's going to be a force. But all the talk and all the rhetoric and everything that went on about this game, it was a precursor. It was evaluation time. It's basically seeing if you can pass a test Most of those guys passed the damn test. We know what our starters can actually do. Why put them out there and make them go so intense and so hard against a team they've never played and potentially get injured in a game that means absolutely nothing? So,
I mean, at the end of the day, when you evaluate talent, you want to see what players can do in certain situations. Sometimes it can be beneficial, sometimes it's not. I mean, we see the preseason has been reduced from 4 games to 3 games, and I would not be surprised if it goes to 3 games to 2 games within the next 10 years, just the way that things are.
It's going to do that.
It would not surprise me just how the way things are. You kind of know what you got in players in camp. You really don't need to have no more than 3 games to see what they can do, and they've gone to 3. I wouldn't be surprised to go down to 2, but we all know the talent. We see it. I mean, it's no hidden agenda. The Chiefs have done very good at drafting. Now, I want to see some of that translate on the field more, but that's what we'll see from week 1 through week 17.
Yeah,
or 17.
I agree.
So
I agree. I think they've done that. To me, that game proved how well we do scout, how well Brett Veach scouts. When you got guys out there that are 7th-round picks that are playing out of their shoes, I'm sorry, man. It just is what it is. We knew we weren't going to see Pacheco. We knew we weren't going to see McKinnon. We got a healthy dose of Clyde for 2 series.
Oh, yeah, and the reason why I feel like they took Clyde is, again, showcase. Let's see what he can do. Let's just kind of get him out there and kind of things like that. I mean, he got 3 snaps, but he had 3 snaps, but he had, 2 carries and then a receiving.
1 receiving.
5 yards or something like that. So, I mean, it was kind of a showcase to see what he can do. I think Clyde can still do stuff, but I think it's been shown he's not your every down back like Pacheco.
He's a glass slipper.
Well, I'm going to call him a glass slipper, but
– oh, he's a glass slipper. He's been injured every year. He's glass. He's Sammy Glass. He's glassy Watkins.
There's a difference. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Clyde. I think he can do great. I want to see him do more, but from what the Chiefs have been able to bring in from basically 7th round undrafted is better than the 1st round running back. So that just shows you the Chiefs are just going to go to do that model of they're going to get undrafted guys. And unfortunately, that will lead to things such as Pacheco probably not getting paid the amount he wants. So the Chiefs may be in that situation, but we'll see when we get down, kick that can down the road. We'll see how that works.
I will say this about Clyde really quick, and then we'll move on. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the last play, I believe it was, he got up a little slow, and he walked off the field a little bit slow. I know he felt something because it wasn't like it was the biggest hit in the world. He got tackled, but that was about it. Mm-hmm. But he felt it. That right there, I know the team saw it. There was no way they didn't. Coaches saw it. Medical staff saw it. So, look, man, he's there for insurance reasons.
Yeah.
It's really about it. And
if worse comes to worse, he's a good guy to put in certain situations like the Chiefs did in week 1 last year. Line him up in specific situations, screening passes out of the backfield, maybe short yardage pace from, but beyond that, you're not really getting much in other situations.
Yeah. So, and that was a little bit of an insight between him and Prince to see which can do what. Of course, Clyde's going to look a little bit better. He knows the system. He's been in it for 4 years. He knows the system. Everybody was down on Prince because they said he looked slow or he didn't look like he had intensity. He didn't. I
thought he looked fine.
I did too.
I thought his pass protection on one of the touchdowns was very good for the most part.
Pass protection was good. I don't know if it was necessarily the push in the offensive line. He didn't seem to have great vision when he was running the ball, but it's one preseason game. I don't know how much I can take out of it. You know who did have great vision, though, was Rashid Rice.
Yes.
When he caught that little bubble screen. That was awesome. I mean, he was out there like a running back. He looked like you know what he looked like? He looked like Deebo Samuel when he could catch those little bubble screens and then just, zoom around everybody. That's sort of what he looked like. Now, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying that's what he looked like. And he was explosive. We're getting the reports that he's picking up the playbook faster than Sky Moore did last year. So maybe he gets involved in this offense before or sooner than Sky Moore did last year. So I was impressed with Rice.
That's what we've been arguing for the last month or two, Quentin. JP and I were thinking Rashid Rice might be able to break that 250-yard mark that Sky had. And I think there's a good chance he could, just what we saw in that preseason game. And no knock to Sky Moore, but they are Sky Moore and Rashid Rice, two beneficial factors to this team.
Two totally different players.
Two different skill sets and two different players that can be used in certain situations. I still think Sky can break that 225 and move that up and get a couple more touchdowns this season. But I think Rashid Rice has shown he can be an X factor. Now, I don't think he's a Devontae Adams-like player, such as what Philip is saying, where he gets 1,300 yards. But I do believe he can have about 500 to 700 yards with maybe 5 to 6 touchdowns. I think there's a chance there. Just the way how the Chiefs play stuff and how Mahomes is always moving the ball around.
Yeah. Well, let's know this. I agree with you, Danny. That would have been a hell of a touchdown. I mean, that was – Buechele knows what he's doing. I know everybody flipped out because he had that pick, but it was a hurry rush type of situation, run up to the line. But regardless, he knows what he's doing. Everybody was down on our backup quarterback too, and Blaine Gabbert, and I don't know why. But regardless, I think you're going to see everybody's taking this unofficial depth chart Bible, and it's not. This is going to switch up between now and probably week 5 or 6, maybe even 7. You're probably going to see – you may end up seeing Rashid Rice as number 3. You may see Justin Ross as number 3. We don't know. Right now he's ranked. He's the 7th ranked wide receiver on the team. We're keeping 7, so that's okay with me. As long as that motherfucker's on the team, I'm happy because he's good.
Here's how I see how the wide receivers idea, I believe, goes. Number 1, you have Travis Kelce. 2 through 7, it's just going to be a mishmash of different people trying to see what they can do.
It's true. And, you also got to take into consideration we got Noah Gray. We've got all these other guys. Blake Bell lining up as a fullback, which was, they've done in the past.
But I know you hate it. Back into that rant.
Yeah, I know you hate it, but look, man, if they're not going to go, it doesn't hurt my feelings simply because if they're going to go with a fullback or not go with a fullback, I should say, and they're going to use him in certain situations as a fullback, and if it does help us get a first down, I'm okay with it. I don't think he's actually going to make the team.
I don't know. With Jody Fortson on the IR now, you have an extra tight end spot.
I think he makes.
But we have a really good tight end that people are overlooking.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody's overlooking Travis Kelce.
No. I'm talking about that Buckman or whatever his name is.
It's Bushman. Well, he's on the Chiefs for, I think, 2-3 seasons.
This is his second season.
And I remember because the Chiefs traded LDT to the Jets, and they traded back Bushman. Basically, that's was a swap for that. And it's been kind of here and there. I just haven't seen much of him due to him being burned on Jeff Hart for him to explode. I mean, I don't see him.
Pretty good job this weekend.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I don't know. I still believe the Chiefs, before it's too late, you got to find a reliable number 2 tight end. It wasn't Demetrius Harris. It wasn't Deion Yelder. It wasn't these other guys I've had in the past. I've had guys that have been good supplements, but I still believe in the event Kelce gets hurt, which hasn't happened. I hope it doesn't. I hope he doesn't get hurt, where the Chiefs could be not in a great spot. Just saying.
Well, that's why they wanted what's his face this year, but they also have a guy sitting there next year that they're going to end up getting.
Well, are you talking about Brock Bowers?
Brock Bowers.
He's
good,
a top
man.
10 pick. Veach is not trained.
Dude, if it comes down to replacing Kelce, you don't think he's somebody that's Kelce-esque? You don't think Veach will go after him?
I'm telling you right now, there is no way the Chiefs are going to trade all draft capital. Let's say Brock Bowers has a pretty good year that allows him to be a top 10 pick. Man, they're not trading the top 10 to get him or the top 5. As long as the Falcons are there, they're going to snag him. I'm just telling you. The Falcons are just taking every offensive player. I think he can play and do a lot of great things, but I do believe at the end of the day, Veach has his limits. And if he can find some guy from some D2 school out in the middle of Pennsylvania that can play better, he's going to most likely take him due to money. I'm just saying. I don't see the Chiefs dropping that much money on a tight end when they got Kelce for a 3rd-round pick. and the value has been tremendous ever since.
Well, I don't think, and Blake Bell's not the answer to anything. I mean, yeah, he's an okay blocker. It's actually a pretty good blocker, but it's about all. He's made some decent catches here and there, but he's no.
I think he's good in certain situations, but you have to be prepared for anything that happens. And I'm not saying Kelce will get hurt, but he's gotten banged up in the past. But I do believe if Kelce is not there, which fortunately we haven't had to deal with that since the COVID season, you're looking a little different of an offense. You're trying to figure out who's going to come in and do different things in certain situations. Like, I don't know. It's looking a little scary. So,
yeah, well, we'll see what happens. What else do we got? Oh, can we all agree that the Eagles drafted a whole lot of guys from Georgia and they didn't look that great? Can we all agree to that?
It depends on who you ask, because Eagles fans think they look pretty good.
Well, nobody else, including every analyst that was on TV, didn't think.
Jalen Conner looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible, but I don't. As a whole,
again, it's a preseason game too.
It is, but I'm just saying, if they're going to rely on, because that's what they're doing, they're going to rely on a ton of rookies, kind of like what we did. They need the coaches to be able to coach those guys up, and right now it didn't look like their training camp did a whole lot for all those Georgia guys. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if there was a quarterback today that got an extension. It wasn't huge, but it was pretty decent, $155 million. Who was it? Can't think of his name. If anybody knows in the group chat, tell me, but it was I think it was a $155 million extension. His name's somewhat known, but nothing like massive. God, I can't think of his name right now.
I'm not seeing it. So
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ari put it out, but I could be wrong. Anyway, regardless, this season, there's 2 more games left in the preseason. Got a lot of time left. Let's just see how these players pan out. I mean, there's been some cuts already in the NFL. There's a lot of guys out on the street right now. There's trades being made. It's kind of crazy to think about how this right after the first preseason game, people are hitting the street already or being traded to another football team. So it's, we've got a lot of time left. So let's not worry so much about that one preseason game, because that's a precursor to what's to come. And I'm not concerned. If that's what our backups look like, we're in pretty damn good shape. Mm-hmm. That's just all I can say at this point.
Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. The injuries, again, we talked about those. They don't seem to be very significant other than Jody, which sucks. We had high hopes for Jody. It just sounds like he's going to end up getting an injury buyout and be done with it, similar to what Dieter got. And, when he got his back buyout for his back and then came back. And I just think that's what's going to happen. He's out for the year. I don't know exactly. I didn't even ask exactly what was wrong with his shoulder. I just know it's bad enough to where he can't play. So, that being said, everybody just enjoy the fact that we are the Chiefs, and there's nobody better than us right now. We're still the reigning Super Bowl champions. And it looks like, don't know about you guys, we got more depth this year than we've had in the last 3. So I think we're in pretty good shape. With that being said, we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for joining.